President Cyril Ramaphosa is due home from the BRICS meeting in Brazil today, and top of his agenda is expected to be the allegations by the KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner, Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. The commissioner leveled several accusations against the police minister. He also slammed the disbandment of the team investigating political matters. He also, of course, said a whole lot of other things. But Mary Haas is the violence monitor in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, and she joins us now. A very good afternoon to you, Dr. Haas. Thanks very much for your time. But before we get to what he actually said, put us in the picture. Just your sense of what the contribution to fighting crime, what a provincial commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi's contribution to fighting crime has been in that province.
Look, I mean, there's a perception among a lot of people that he's doing good work because he shoots gangsters dead, and we don't know if those gangsters are in the police camp or in the other camp. But I mean, I know that in terms of the way the system works, a lot of you can't get through to some of the police stations, the emails don't work. I mean, I send stuff on crime to him, I never ever get a response. So I think, you know, there's a lot of popular support because he's been on a public relations drive for himself for the last few months, and which is disapproved of by many police who say that's what we've got media people for.
What was your reaction to that briefing? What went through your mind as you heard him dropping those allegations?
Okay, well, let's just start first of all that the country's in the grip of criminal syndicates. It's been like that for decades. I think people forget that apartheid was also an organized crime system. It used to supply a chemical warfare program called Mandrax to the townships in Durban, in the Cape Flats, to youths there. It goes right back. The apartheid police did it. And we mustn't forget that, because it just carried on after liberation, because according to, I think, Africa Confidential magazine in the 80s, some of the liberation people were also doing it. So they all joined forces, and then came mafias from East Europe and elsewhere. So it's not new, put that way. And I didn't know why he was going on about syndicates in Gauteng when they're in his backyard. I mean, our province, including where he lives, because it's affluent, and it's the home of the people that run the syndicates, you know, the people that have got money to stay in those areas and distribute their drugs to township shack areas and middle-class areas in Durban. So I don't know why. And I mean, in that regard, okay, so it's... but I do need to say that he was completely... we know, I must tell you, that he is very angry about the disbandment of the task team. In fact, last week, before all this broke out, we heard that he was gunning for the minister. I get a lot of information from within the police, because thank God we do still have a lot of good policemen, from constables to generals, amazingly enough. Okay. Now, the first thing is that the task team, what he says about it, I have never been able to get a breakdown of those statistics. I do know they take cases they have no right to take, which, for example, corruption in municipalities, which is the role of the Hawks. They do what they like, basically. They break laws. They have not solved political crimes. I mean, for example, a man who gave them information. Remember, this grew out of the Morani Commission and the political killings. Right. Now, a man who's got information in the lower South Coast about the killing of somebody called Wandile Mkhize, speaker. His information coincides with what I know. Gives the information to the police, but the task team doesn't investigate it. It arrests him and keeps him for 5 years without bail. They break every law in the book. They've arrested innocent people. They're defeating the ends of justice. I don't know why Mkhwanazi goes on about prosecutors in Gauteng. We've got our share of corrupt prosecutors in this province who are working with the task team. It's heartbreaking. They've destroyed careers. They torture people. And they've covered for politicians. And I mean, all this is in documentation to Parliament, ministers, everybody. So I'm not sucking it out of my thumb. So I don't know why they want to keep the task team, but it costs the taxpayers a huge amount of money. And there are allegations that Mkhwanazi was financing it after it was shut down from the provincial budget, which is millions overdrawn. Right, that's the task team. The other question I need to clarify is this whole thing, as I mentioned, syndicates in Gauteng, where he's never tackled the syndicates in Durban. And as I said, I think that needs a revamped Scorpions, quite frankly, to do it, to organize crime. They're in his backyard. I'll give you an example. And it came up because I found something on my phone I'd forgotten about that was sent to me by the police. In Umhlanga Rocks lives a man who's a convicted apartheid policeman drug dealer. He's very friendly with the former Minister of Police. And former Minister of Police refers to him as my friend. Okay, put him into crime intelligence, actually. Okay, that man was caught by the police 2-3 years back, and I've got the details somewhere or other. I found them out of the blue, and so now I see it's going around. Bungani did a story on it. He was found trafficking kids. The police arrived to arrest him, put him in handcuffs, and this is an allegation, I want to stress, and this is why I call for an inquiry. That's the one allegation. That according to the police, Mkwanazi was called, arrived, he was on holiday, but he arrived and he said, take those, interfered with the arrests. That's an allegation, right? Because remember that Mkwanazi took orders from Clearly when he was minister. And he even said that to people. Right, that brings me to the other allegation. It looks as if Mkwanazi may have got his ministers muddled. The latest information I've got is that those messages, the phone messages, were actually between Clearly and the thugs, the people that are the dealers and the Tembisa Hospital, the police procurement. I mean, this minister is not one to get involved in procurement. I mean, Clearly did. If you saw former Commissioner Deputies Vuma's protected disclosure, Clearly was constantly interfering in procurement. Now that's the latest. That this was actually former minister that got the messages and interacted with these guys, and not this minister. Again, I'm saying this is what's now alleged. So I think we definitely must have a completely independent inquiry.
On the back of everything you said, then why do you think he did what he did? Because clearly you're not convinced, not at all.
Why did who do what he did? Mkhwanazi. Look, he's been, I don't know, I think he was again speaking to the gallery. I think he fancies himself as a bit of a media star. He's been doing this for a few months. I think there's a couple of things. There were cases opened against him, which I think may be fabricated. That I'm not sure there's any substance in them. So he may be, the best form of defense is
Mary, with all the possible implications of what he did, would he have done what he did purely because he was seeking publicity, knowing that it could mean, the end of his life, naming names and threatening to even reveal more? Would that be enough for him to do what he did?
I mean, you must remember, the other thing is he's under investigation for that handbag. You remember here in Masemola was supposed to have, there was a corruption charge, and that's in other hands. But, you must remember that actually the minister's damned if he does and damned if he doesn't, because in principle, this was completely against protocol. He's one of 8 provincial commissioners speaking about crime in South Africa, right? Which, of course, if anyone does it, it's the national minister, the national commissioner. But I think he knows that if he's suspended, dismissed, he's got so much popular support. He'll be a martyr, basically. He's playing to the gallery.
Well, We shall see. The president has promised that he is going to attend to this issue as soon as he returns. He reckons it's a matter of serious national security concern and deserves all the attention and the urgency that he promises he is going to give it. Dr. Meredy Haas, Violence Monitor in KwaZulu-Natal, offering her opinions on Provincial Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi and what he did at the weekend.